spoke with your Russian counterpart, did you bring up Chinese interference in Canadian elections?
So first, I didn't talk to my Russian counterpart.
Chinese, my apologies.
Sorry. So can you repeat that question?
When you spoke with your Chinese counterpart, did you bring up Chinese interference in Canadian elections? Yes, I did. And what did they say?
So first and foremost, yes, thank you. So first and foremost, I've said it many times, and I've said it to my counterpart, we won't accept any form of meddling of foreign governments in our elections, and we won't tolerate any form of foreign interference at large in Canada, period. So it's not a discussion, it's intolerable. So that's our position.
What did they say back to you, though? What did they say back to you?
It's not a conversation, it's our position. Meanwhile, we will always make sure that as a government, our security agencies are working on this, are activated, that our law enforcement also agencies are working on this, because this is a top priority and we need to address it.
So what can you tell us about the Prime Minister's meeting with the Chinese President? How did it happen and how did it unfold?
So there were two meetings. The Prime Minister spoke to Xi Jinping, and they had a good conversation on many subjects, and I also had a conversation with my counterpart. We both addressed similar issues. I've just confirmed the question of foreign interference, but also the fact that COP15 in Montreal had to be a success for both countries, but also for the planet, because the issue of biodiversity loss is extremely important. We've said that our position when it comes to China is to make sure that we challenge when we ought to, foreign interference being an example, and also will cooperate when we must, climate change being an example. So these were the types of discussions we were having, and of course we will always keep an open channel when it comes to discussing with China.
How long did they speak? How long did the two leaders speak?
I don't have the details, but it was a good conversation, and it is important to indeed keep channels open. I've reiterated to my colleague that I'm always available, but at the same time that he can expect that our approach is transparent. We've laid it out, and Canadians expect us to engage that way.
Canada has been a lot more aggressive towards China in recent weeks. How would you describe the tone of your conversation with your Chinese counterparts? And can you also talk about the reaction both from the president and your counterpart when it comes to Ukraine and the war in Russia? In your understanding, where is China standing on this?
So first and foremost, it's always respectful. With all my colleagues I engage with, this is diplomacy. Our goal is to make sure that there is more peace and stability in the world. I also, and the Prime Minister addressed the issue of nuclear and the fact that it is fundamental that there be no form of proliferation of nuclear weapons, particularly in definitely Ukraine, but particularly also in our region of the world, which is the Northern Pacific, where North Korea is undergoing reckless missile launch and nuclear testing. So these were the issues that were presented by the Prime Minister and myself.
You talked about the fact that it was important to bring up the threat of nuclear war, and that Putin needs to be condemned for even considering it at all. How did Russia respond, or China respond to this type of conversation, and where do they seem to stand? Right now it seems like they're not willing to condemn Russia, and doesn't that make it harder to get consensus and significant movement on the war at a setting like this when China's not getting on board?
Well, like I mentioned, the question of nuclear is extremely important, and we engage with China and other nuclear powers on this issue. And we need to send a very strong message. We will not accept it. Not only will we not accept it, the consequences of nuclear weapons would be catastrophic for the world. And so that's why it is so existential that we need to engage China and other nuclear powers on this issue. As for the question of Ukraine per se, of course it is part of our foreign policy to engage other countries and to make sure that we push for support for Ukraine. And so of course we do that in every single interaction we have. And I had many interactions today with many of my colleagues and I raised it in every single issue. What you can see is that there is a reckoning within the G20 that not only does the war in Ukraine and Russia's illegal and unjustifiable invasion of Ukraine has a tremendous human toll, human suffering toll, but also that at the same time it has a really big impact on the global economy and on households at the grocery stores.
Did you tell China, or did Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tell China anything at all about Uyghurs in concentration camps, about Taiwan and Hong Kong? You've been saying you want to raise these issues with them directly. Did you do it?
We always raise the questions of human rights. We always also raise the questions of respecting international norms. What I said to my counterpart is that the respect of international norms was now on his shoulders, and it was his onus. It was, let me rephrase that. What I said to my counterpart, it was on China's shoulder to show that it was respecting international norms.
Thank you. That's
Thank
all the time
you.
we have.